The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Freedom Chat, where real Americans speak their minds. And no topic is off limits. No scripts, no judgment, just honest conversation, raw, unfiltered, and free. If you're ready to challenge the narrative and celebrate true freedom, you're in the right place. This is Freedom Chat.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. As always, we have my mom, Phyllis, and my brother from another mother, Dennis. Mom, he's definitely into the brotherhood mode. Okay. So apparently we've got streaming issues, but I really don't care. We'll figure it out. Oh yeah, it's from one of the other little channels that I've got to run to have people on. I've invited a few more people to try to come on, and if they try to jump on, we will of course accept them because that's what we do. So I want to start with, how is everybody's week? Mom, how was your week?
Same as last week. Not a whole lot going on. Working on that quilt.
Okay. Dennis, how about you?
It's a Looney Tune quilt.
Same thing here. Same thing. Just, like she said, same as last week. Not much,
let me see.
much excitement going on.
Let me see. Well, I had Veterans Day, which was Tuesday, and I had a really busy Veterans Day. I performed a couple of auditorium get-togethers for Benjamin Franklin Academy. That's a charter school, goes all the way from K to 8.
Cool.
They're based right there at Highlands Ranch. So you want to think Lucent Boulevard and 470 area. That's where they're at.
Oh, okay.
And that was really cool. I broke out a song that I ain't played since the pandemic, or the plandemic, or the fake crap. And that was Battle Hymn of the Republic. And surprisingly enough, I did it really well. So now that's going to become a regular rotational thing.
Cool.
So I got done with that, and then I went down to the Texas Roadhouse off of Santa Fe and Hamden. They were handing out dinner vouchers and appetizer vouchers for veterans on that day. So I was standing out in their parking lot playing for them all day long. I would go up to a car and say, "Hey, what branch?" And they'd say Army, and I go, "Dang it!" And then I would play. So, I'd play all the branch music except for the Space Force because, I haven't even seen the freaking sheet music for the Space Force.
Isn't that like an AC/DC song or something?
Oh God, I don't know, man. I lose track. Anyway, from there, I went and unknowingly got myself a free lunch at Steak and Shake, and it was actually better than it had been in the past. It doesn't hurt that it was fresh. But I took advantage. I didn't take advantage of it. I was willing to pay. They just had a sign. I was like, holy crap. Okay. So I go ahead and use that. And then I went to Ball Arena. You know what? There's so much of them that people kind of get confused. They don't plan. I know people who plan out their entire day around free meals.
All right.
And I have grown, dare I say, I've grown out of that, but I've kind of grown out of it. It's not as important as it was. Let me see here. And then I went to Ball Arena and I played taps at their Veterans Day celebration. There's some people that have gotten that recording that was from my niece. So I'll apologize up front when you heard the voice. That's my freaking uncle. That would be my niece. I need to tell Layla that less is more when you're getting ready to play something like taps. I understand the excitement, but you kind of got to know what you're doing with that. So
I get it. I totally get it.
I'm working on getting the recording of it from the Avalanche. It's probably going to cost about $30, but in this case, it's worth it. What I plan on doing is distributing it to the other sports teams, Nuggets. I know they're a part of KSM, but I'm still going to send it to them. I'm going to send it to the Broncos, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going to send it to the Rockies too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, you got to figure out ways to promote what you're doing. And what I do when I'm at the cemetery is, to me, so important. So that's kind of what I'm doing with that. I was
kind of hoping you were going to say you were covering all your bases.
Oh, God, no. No. We're not covering bases because the Rockies don't even cover bases anymore.
Right. They better be doing something first.
They forgot what a base was.
They're horrible. You know what? They just got a new general manager, and he is famous because he was with the Oakland A's when they were doing the whole Moneyball thing. So, the guy knows baseball. He just stepped away from the Cleveland Browns, and their fan base just celebrated because he's been so horrible for them. He was the one that brokered the Deshaun Watson deal.
That's why we got him.
Oh, great.
So yesterday I went to Fort Logan. Dennis, you remember Dree Howard?
Yeah.
Well, you know that Dree is now Dree Bobick. Dree married Quint Bobick years ago.
Yeah.
And her mom is friends with me, and her mom lost a really good friend who was a captain in the Navy. So I went to the cemetery. They had that woman's funeral on, I think, Thursday or Friday. So I know that they didn't play with a live bugler, and she asked if I was going to be able to make a funeral for her, and I couldn't do it because I'm working. So I went down there and played taps in front of her little place card. The headstone isn't even up yet. A little side story around those headstones. It normally takes up to 6 weeks from the moment that they're in the ground until they get put, until the stone gets placed, unless your name is Danny Dietz Sr., in which case it takes 4 days.
Right.
Because Cindy Dietz is Cindy Dietz, and
put a rush on that.
Something like that. What else? So next week, you remember Troy Feist and Diane Feist?
Yeah.
Their dad passed away.
Oh.
About 3-4 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he asked if I'd be able to come and play at his funeral, which is going to be Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. And I told him I can't do it this coming Tuesday because I have work. But I told him the same thing I told Shelly. So for those of you in Colorado, this is an open invitation to reach out to me via private message, or look up my contact information. I keep it open so that people can reach out, because you never know when they're going to need something. And if you want me to honor your loved ones, I can't do it at the funeral, but I promise you that they will get honored the Saturday of the funeral. So they'll be buried on Tuesday, and I will be out there Saturday to honor them properly with a live rendition of taps. So that's that. That's just a little bit of housekeeping, so to speak.
Cool.
Let's talk about Democrats and what happens when a Democrat betrays the other Democrats and the vitriol that you see on a daily basis. And I'm going to use good old Fetterman as my example. So he's been very outspoken. He was outspoken throughout the shutdown, and he voted against the shutdown, and he voted yes every single time. And now the morons on the left, and yes, I'm calling them morons because they're not wanting to be informed, either hyper-informed or otherwise. When he had his fall last week, only people from the right reached out and said, man, I hope you get better. I hope you get better. You know what? We don't agree with each other politically, but I hope you get better. You know how many, at least prominent Democrats, reached out and posted that they hope that the guy got better? That would be a goose egg. Which leads me to wonder, what values does the left actually have?
That's another goose egg.
So, Mom, I want to ask you, what values did the Democrats have back in the day, so to speak?
This kind of stuff was never in the news back then.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the values, not necessarily the fact that he
The
failed.
media was focused on something different at that time.
Okay, you got to repeat
more.
that. You got to repeat that. Repeat that for me, Mom.
And people didn't focus on a lot of the stuff that seems to be getting. Didn't think sure, not because everybody has feelings.
So my question. My question to you, Mom, is:
back in my day, I don't remember anybody worrying a whole lot about anybody unless they wanted to go after them for one reason.
Okay, so here's a question for you. At the end of the day, back in the day, as we're going through the back in the day thing, would you say that Democrats didn't have the same values as Republicans, but they always circled back to at least we're still Americans?
They were not radicalized to the point they are now.
That's what I was saying.
The radical groups were kind of like an offshoot, but they weren't really totally connected that you could see with the Democrat Party itself. It was not nearly apparent that the weathermen, so to speak, and they were a real radical group,
right?
Or the Black Panthers, you heard of them, you knew
right.
They were doing things in big cities, but Colorado at that time was still Cowtown, Colorado.
Right.
Here's a funny story. Not funny at all, but sort of funny. When the Vietnam War was going on and the hippies were coming along with their long hair, they made sure they stayed away from the National Western Stock Show because the cowboys would catch them and cut their hair. They didn't put up with that long hair crap.
Which is really, which I
up with the hippies.
Which I find really funny because
our
founders. Hey, Mom, I find that really funny because our founders all had long hair, or they were wearing long wigs. It's just something that you find funny how society tends to change throughout the years. I mean, when did it become more appropriate to have a haircut, so to speak? That's something that I've always kind of found funny is, we kind of move around and shake around and do that. Dennis, you and I are of the same age, of the same group. I'm going to ask you the same question. And look, I know that because of social media, it has compressed information and compressed viewpoints to where you have a very small group that's like right here, and then you have other small groups that are on the extreme fringe, and they end up being the loudest because they're stupid. And yes, I'm calling them stupid because there's no sense to be loud when you're that far off the beaten path. But do you ever remember having anybody who voted one way or another, for all intents and purposes, not acknowledge, hey, we may be Democrat and you may be Republican, but at least we're all still Americans?
Well, I mean, the only thing I remember from, when I was like, let's say 10 years old, that would have been 1980. Obviously we didn't have social media, so you had like the 3 or 4 main broadcast channels, and that was about it.
Right.
You really didn't hear all the backstabbing and all that stuff. Like, you didn't hear about it or read about it back then, like it's everywhere now. But so you really didn't get to see everything that went on behind closed doors as much as you do now.
Right.
But as far as the Democrats, I mean, I remember them at one point, being a little more known for like true civil rights, not just a civil right because you want to be a gender number 32.
Or yeah.
Nothing like that.
Or you want to try to feel good about yourself by saying, well, we just want due process for people who, cross the border illegally and whatnot.
Right.
Right. We are going to actually do a deep dive into that, and I'm going to say some things that I know are going to bend some people completely out of shape, but I don't really care. But before we do that, we need to do our first break because we're like 3 minutes over, and you already know what it's going to be, so here we go.
They're cool tats, man.
Oh, for real. Thank you, bro. You see the Cobra?
And what is this one?
Oh, this?
Uh-huh.
That's my credo. No regrets.
Mm-hmm. You have no regrets?
Dad?
No? Like not even a single letter?
No way. Not me.
Well, I love him. I think he's great.
Okay.
I think he's a real winner, Casey. If I were you, I wouldn't use protection.
I wouldn't even use protection.
Just when he's like, that's my credo, that just cracks me up.
My credo. Of course, mom is just like, it was funny a little while. No, it's funny every week, Mom. I'm just going to tell you right now. It makes me laugh every single time. So when I had rehearsal about 2 weeks ago, the conversation before rehearsal with one of my bandmates, and I will not name him today, that may change, but right now I'm not going to name him, was about one of the parts of the conversation was about the illegal immigration. And he was, of course, trying to play the virtue signaling lefty that he is and say they're afforded due process. And I said, right, they are afforded due process. They came across the border illegally. They get rounded up by ICE. They get detained for a little bit until they can figure out what country they're from. And then they get shipped back to the country from whence they came, unless they self-deport, which we already know. A lot of these people have self-deported because they want the opportunity to come back in. So here's where I'm going with that. If anybody ever asks me again if I believe that illegal aliens deserve due process, I am going to tell them my daughter is following the rules of a foreign nation so that she can go and be a student in that foreign nation. How dare you ask me that if the rules that apply to my daughter with the nation that she is going to do not apply to people who have already violated the rules of our country. If you understand that you come across the border uninvited, that is the equivalent of me driving down to Dennis's house and without even knocking on the door, If I could open it up and walk right on through, walk up in there into the fridge, grab myself a Dr. Pepper or a root beer, and come downstairs and plop right on his bed and watch TV with him. Which would probably get me shot, number one. Because even though he is my friend, he did not invite me into his house. He did not invite me into his home. There is something to be said for sanctity of your home. There's something to be said for security of your home. Well, if you expand that out to our nation is our home. For anybody to sit there and demand that these people who already basically said they don't acknowledge our sovereignty, but they deserve legal due process. Without going too X-rated, you can go and yeah. So I won't even say the rest of it because I think that you're barking up the wrong tree. They got to go. I don't care if they're families. I don't care. They go home. We didn't ask you to come in this country. Go home. You didn't apply properly. You didn't follow the rules. My daughter went all the way to Los Angeles to follow the rules of another country. Go home. It's not hard to understand. And for those of you, well, they're just looking for a better life. Great. I don't have a problem with that. But don't subvert the rules. And for those of you who are bleeding heart people, let me explain a little bit about this. On the surface, it doesn't affect me or Dennis or you if you're an American citizen, you're born here, or mom. But it affects adversely every single legal citizen who went through the system, became citizens themselves. You're basically slapping them in the face. So I don't want to hear this crap anymore about, well, they deserve due process. They deserve a swift kick in the backside on their way out the door. Mom, it's your turn.
Yeah, they do not deserve to be allowed to come back in and get thrown out and come back in and get thrown out and come back in and get thrown out. There should be some sort of a penalty if you're caught coming back in a second time illegally. And obviously that's not happening. Well, under Trump it might, but at any rate, no, they have no right being here. And I would go so far as to say all of these so-called refugees that have been brought in by the last several presidents because of their war-torn countries or whatever need to be returned to said war-torn countries and let them rebuild their country, not ours. And I'm specifically saying the Muslims do not assimilate to this culture. They need to live in an area where they are the same culture, not here. That's what I.
Dennis, I'm going to turn it over to you, and then I'm going to piggyback on my mom.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, it's just common sense. If you come over here illegally, now, I mean, honestly, there's probably a lot of people that want to be here and, would love the chance of a good life for them and their family. Just do it the right way, do it the way it's supposed to be done, and nobody's going to ever have an issue with that.
I agree.
The ones that come in and out multiple times and just whatever, no.
Yeah, never again.
Mm-mm.
Never again.
Nope.
And I kind of want to piggyback on what Mom said. Here's the problem, and I'm gonna explain this in the easiest way possible. We're gonna give a quick little history lesson. We've all heard the Marine Corps' hymn, which includes the shores of Tripoli. Where does that come from? Well, that comes from all the way back to the days of President John Adams and then President Thomas Jefferson. Both presidents sent emissaries to England to negotiate the release of American sailors who had been enslaved by the Barbary pirates, which were a part of, if I'm not mistaken, at the time, the Ottoman Empire, which was an Islamic empire. We're not even going to get into the Crusades and any of that. We're going to focus specifically on that moment in time. We asked them, we've never had a problem with you. We've never had a problem with your people, and we've never had a problem with your religion. Why are you enslaving our sailors? Why are you taking our citizens? The response that they got from the Islamic emissary was, the Quran commands us to take you as slaves, and we have a complete right and authority to do so because you are infidels, which is a blatant supremacist mentality. And I've talked to a lot of moderate Islamic people of the Islamic faith. Their basis is around supremacy. It's based around what they consider to be supremacy, and you can carry it all the way back to the Quran, and it makes perfect sense at that point. So what did the president, at the time it was President Thomas Jefferson, do when the emissaries came back and told them to basically go pack sand, that they weren't letting any of the slaves go because in their eyes and according to their religion, those people were inferior? Well, that's supremacy in a nutshell, folks. So what did he do? He sent a group of guys that we all know. They're Marines. They got the term leathernecks because they had put big, thick leather around their necks to keep the Barbary pirates from chopping their heads off with their swords. So it wasn't shortly after the Navy took the Marine Corps to Tripoli and to that area that the Barbary pirates acquiesced, because the request went from, we really would like to have our people back, to, you're going to give us our people back or we're going to kill you all. And that was exactly what the mentality was. So fast forward today, I don't want to kill anybody at all, but I don't want a group of people whose religious edict requires no assimilation but complete and total capitulation from the people that they are joining. Hey, newsflash, if you come from another country and you are Islamic, you join our society, not the other way around. If you don't like that, Mamdani, Omar, go home. Go back to where you came from and live there, because we don't want you. And I'm not seeing any comments, and I don't care if I do or if I don't today. Bottom line is this. I'm not Islamophobic because I don't have a fear of you people. I just don't like the fact that you take advantage of our basic right to freedom of religion and you subvert it and pervert it, and you basically ignore it. You have gone into places like Dearborn, Michigan, which used to be one of the greatest cities in our country, and you have managed to wreck it. Congratulations. I hope you feel good about yourselves. You've gone into New York, and all these people who celebrated his win, congratulations. You're going to get exactly what you asked for. He's going to try to implement versions of Sharia law, which are counterintuitive to the Constitution of the United States. I don't care who I bend out of shape about this stuff, because it's time to make people understand. You can't virtue signal someone who has true virtue. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
Right.
I think that's one of the things that made Charlie Kirk so powerful. He had virtues. He had true value. And because he had virtues and true value, you couldn't make him be ashamed of himself for it. Well, I'm very much the same way. I don't feel bad that I don't trust that group of people. They haven't done very much to earn my trust. I like the people that I talk to, that I work with, that are of that religion. I do. I like them as people. But I don't trust their religious belief in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not going to. So, I would like, I'd kind of like one of you to piggyback on that one, because I think I really hammered that home, but I kind of want to know where you guys stand a little bit more.
Well, pretty much, I think you know where I stand. I've just have seen the lack of respect from the Islamics who are now in our government towards everybody else. And I agree with Senator John Kennedy. If you don't love America, you shouldn't be here.
Agreed, 100%. You come into the here, Dennis. Go ahead. I'm gonna give you the floor, and then I'm gonna bring it home.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I feel very strongly about this. Yeah, you basically these people that are like, especially holding offices, and then devoting your pledge, you're pledging to another country like Somalia or whatever. That's you're just spitting on the Constitution. And we have laws here. We have no room for Sharia law in any shape or form.
Agreed.
So, yeah, you can assimilate or you can leave. There is no third choice.
Agreed. And for those people who want to say, well, that's racist. No, it's not.
No.
A religious belief, not liking and not trusting a religious belief has nothing to do with the race of the people who are practicing it. I also don't like devil worshippers, but you don't hear anybody say, well, that's racist. The whole racist thing almost exclusively comes to people of that faith specifically. That's what they like to do. Meanwhile, they're killing their own kind, i.e., they're killing other people of that region because they're Christian. That would be the various degrees of genocide that are going on through Africa. Specifically, there was 23 murdered in Nigeria 2 or 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
They rolled right into the church, and including the pastor. So for those people who want to try to play the well, you must be racist game, no, I'm not racist. I'm absolutely not racist. I am actually quite like Charlie Kirk. I see gray. I don't see black. I don't see white. I don't see any of those colors. I see what you do, and I don't like it. That's what I see. And then you can sell it however you want to sell it. The only problem is I'm not willing to buy it anymore. And I'm not going to sit there and let anybody tell me ever again, well, you must hate these people because of the color of their skin. No, I don't give a rat's ass about the color of your skin. What I care about is you come into this country, you become a citizen of the greatest country in the world, and then you badmouth it every single time you turn around. And in cases like Ilhan Omar and that moron who didn't become a mayor, thank God, you profess your allegiance to the country you came from, the country that you probably would already be dead. Ilhan Omar, as she stayed in that region, would be dead today. She wouldn't even be alive.
They don't want her back. They don't want her in Somalia.
They basically said they don't want, because she's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't mean to say that way, but no, she's so far on the wrong direction that it's just, if you're not willing to show allegiance to the country that brought you in, man, go somewhere else, because I have no use for you.
Yep.
And I'm speaking exclusively for myself. And, people can say, oh, this is MAGA. No, it's got nothing to do with MAGA. I'm an American citizen. I was born here. I was raised here. And I spent 28 years of my life defending and protecting our Constitution. And by extension, defending and protecting our values. I'm sick and tired of having our values basically stepped all over by a group of people who are as completely. I mean, it's ungratitude. There's no gratitude from those people. None. None. And you've been given how many opportunities that you've taken advantage of? We know Ilhan Omar is worth millions of dollars. Ilhan, take your millions of dollars and get out. Go away. You don't have to go away mad. Just go away.
Right.
That was a Motley Crue.
Motley Crue.
Right there. Don't go away mad. Just go away.
Right.
I would like to know what you guys want to talk about for the remainder of the podcast. And if anybody has anything that they want to bring up, they want to make a comment, good, bad, or indifferent, type it in, or, invite yourself on. I mean, that link is so you can jump on. It's why it's set up. So if you want to jump on and you want to say something, good, bad, or indifferent, we don't care. We want people to come on with different viewpoints. I want you to stand up and tell me why communism, socialism, and Marxism is better than our way of life, so that I can throw it back in your face that, well, communism, Marxism, and socialism creates two things very, very well: suffering and death. And we got the numbers to prove that. So
correct.
So if you want to jump on, you want to make comments. If you want to make comments about what I'm saying about people who practice Islam, I don't care if you practice Islam. Just go to one of the 52 countries that are out there that are primarily Islamic. And we're going to talk about Israel here in a minute, because I'm telling you right now, what they're doing with Israel and this whole propaganda machine that is making Israel out to. And look, I don't have a dog in that fight outside of the fact that, I'm really, really sorry that you think that they're colonizers. They're not colonizers. Not when there's 54 different Muslim-based, Islamic-based nations that have banned Jews from even stepping foot on their soil. So don't give me this crap about Israel being a bunch of colonizers. But when we come back, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mom and then to Dennis. So for the next one that I like to laugh at.
What happened to you? Ruben, I'm in a situation here. We have to leave now. Well, no, can we stay a couple more minutes? But dude, no, this is serious. I just sharted. I don't know what that means. I tried to fart and a little shit came out. I just sharted. And let's go.
There's a car behind us.
Man, if you can't laugh at dumb stuff, what can you laugh at? All right, I'm turning the floor over to Mom. Mom has been watching, probably watching Fox News. So I kind of want to hear what you got to say about what's been going on Fox News. And then I'm going to give it to Dennis, and we'll try to close it out strong.
Well, I'm sure Dennis saw the same thing I did on Levin last night. He had a bunch of charts showing that the Democrats keep saying the economy is bad. And the reason they keep saying that is because in blue states, yes, it is. And he had the charts to prove it on each state, as opposed to red states, which are doing quite well, and their inflation numbers are down, and their economy is doing well, whereas the blue states are doing poorly because, well, blue states higher in taxes, higher in gas prices, higher in house prices, higher in interest rates. Let's see, what am I missing, Dennis? Higher in regulations.
There was about
all of these things. What I was surprised about is that Colorado, although it's a blue state, did not hit any of the charts, so it must not be quite. It hasn't quite hit California yet.
So I got a question about
surprised
Colorado.
by that.
I'm glad you brought Colorado up, Mom. And Dennis, I'm going to give the floor to you also. You guys do realize that the governor on his way out just signed another, what, 53 million or billion? I don't remember the numbers. On his way out, we're already knee deep in debt thanks to that clown, and he's just making it worse. Uh, and unfortunately, I don't see because Colorado's managed to gerrymander. I brought that one up. Gerrymander our state to their advantage to the degree where it's almost a supermajority. The chances of a fiscally responsible red governor is really minimal. I mean, I would love to see one of the biggest upsets ever, but I don't see it happening. But I do know that the governor did sign another budget, if you want to call what he signed a budget. And I kind of want to know, Dennis, what have you read about that?
I haven't heard too much about that. I knew they were doing something with that, but yeah, he's definitely not been good for the state. Obviously, I just saw something about the revenue that was brought in from the marijuana tax. I think it was like around $3 billion. And he said, it's for paved roads and to build rec centers and things like
schools.
that. Like, yeah.
Don't forget schools.
Haven't seen a whole lot of that. Have you?
No. And here, so I just pulled it up. Polis has proposed a budget of over $50 billion for Colorado, focusing on education, public safety, and addressing rising Medicaid costs while facing a significant budget shortfall. The total budget for 26-27 is supposed to be approximately 50.7, with 18 billion allocated from the general fund. Education funding is 167 million for school finance, with specific allocations for universal preschool funding and various programs. Medicaid spending. Polis has acknowledged that Medicaid spending has been unsustainable. Why has it been unsustainable? I'll give you a quick hint. A bunch of people coming into our country illegally, and then a mayor who is about as stupid as you can be, saying that Coloradans have to just suck it up and sacrifice for these people who don't respect our laws. So that's the Medicaid part of this. Public safety. Gee, I wonder what he could be talking about there. Says law enforcement, recruiting, trading, and reflecting. Budget shortfall. Colorado is facing an $850 million shortfall for next fiscal year, prompting the need for a careful budget management. Hey, you know what? I got one for you. You want to fix part of the budget? Send all those illegal aliens that you sanctuary state city, you're harboring illegals, just send them back home. That would solve a pretty large portion of that budget. But that's what he's wanting to do. Criticisms of channel, hey, you're not being fiscally sound. You're asking the Colorado taxpayers to foot this bill. And I know that he has to pay the bills too because he is a millionaire, but it doesn't hurt him as much because he's in a different tax bracket. So there's that. Dennis, what else did Levin say?
Well, basically like what your mom was saying. They were comparing different states like New Jersey and California to states like Ohio and a couple other ones I can't remember.
Florida?
Virginia, I think maybe.
Florida?
Yeah, Florida. Yeah, I think Florida was in there too.
Tennessee, Florida.
But yeah, basically, dude, California. I mean, the difference in prices in groceries and housing and stuff is just astronomically higher in California. It's insane.
So ask yourself this question, folks. Once again, how did we get here? How did we get from the greatest country, the beacon of freedom, the beacon of hope for millions and millions of people, to now you have to pick and choose the state you live in because, well, depending on the state you live in, you may not have sustainable income. I can tell you, speaking from my perspective, we barely have sustainable income in our state right now. I'm surprised that Levin didn't key on that because, the grocery prices haven't quite caught up to where the gas prices are. And the gas prices are fluctuating. But look at what happened during this this government shutdown. The left tried to gaslight the living hell out of the right about who was responsible for the shutdown. Well, I'm going to tell you exactly who's responsible for the shutdown. Every single one of those morons who voted no 15 times. They voted no not just on reopening the government. They voted no on extending SNAP benefits during the shutdown. They voted no on paying military and paying TSA and flight the guys that are controlling air controllers, the air traffic controllers. They voted no on all of that. Well, ask yourself, why would they do that? Well, I can tell you what I think is they thought that the more they could hold out, the more it would make Donald Trump look bad. And yes, I hate saying it like this, but it does come right back down to Donald Trump. Because had that been any other president that was Republican, they wouldn't have even hesitated to vote yes. And the evidence is so clear because the last time they shut down the government, Donald Trump was also the president. So, for those of you who think that this is all about the Republicans, no, it literally does. And this is why it really is stupid. It comes right down to Donald John Trump. And it's terrible because the people that end up paying for it are people like my mom and people like Dennis and people like me and my family. We're the ones that end up really, I don't want to say we are affected by it more than others because our income is at a level that is not the same as others. So that's kind of my position on that.
I would say another difference in the blue states and the red states, and I don't know that he mentioned it, but it's the energy thing. States that have not gone batshit crazy over climate change and cut off all their decent producing coal mines and oil drilling and what have you, and they're nuclear, they're doing well because energy is cheaper. If energy is cheaper, everything else is cheaper.
Right.
And Polis, one of the things he's doing to Colorado is killing as much as he can of the oil and gas, and they already tried to kill the nuclear.
And here's the saddest part of that is how he's doing it. He did it by really allowing the local EPA to have free reign on almost every policy. And I've always argued this. These three letter entities, they have no jurisdictional authority other than the authority that the appointing authority has granted them. The only problem with that is they have managed to figure out ways to overextend their authorities. And when you have the wrong governor, Polis, the other one would be Newsom, definitely, in the right situation where they believe that what they're doing is the right because we're trying to save the planet. Just look up scientists who have proven that all of that crap is just that. It's crap. And that's all you need to know. And then ask yourself, well, why is it that these people keep doing it? And then start finding, like Mom always says, follow the money, follow where the money is going. Colorado's EPA, the policies that they are setting are just obscenely bad for the energy, for energy. But even more importantly, what they're about ready to, and they're trying to, well, I don't know whether he did it or not yet, but they're trying to put the EPA in control of farmlands so that the EPA can go through and say, well, you can't farm or ranch the way you were farming or ranching because there's some little, tiny field mouse that is going to become extinct in the next 150 some odd years because of your farming, your farming skill set, what you're doing in the farms. And I say to those people, get a life.
Mm-hmm.
I would oust every single one of those 3-letter entities in a heartbeat if I were the governor. EPA, Colorado EPA, now you get trimmed down, buddy. The fat's coming off. Hey, Mayor Johnson, the whole, we're not spending money anymore on illegals coming into our country. They don't get free health care. Well, right now they get free health care because, emergency rooms can't turn them away.
Right.
And everybody that sits there and tells me, well, the bottom of the Statue of Liberty where it says, send me, you're hungry and you're desperate and whatever. Well, yeah, but that isn't, they didn't mean to come across the border illegally. They meant come into the country and find a better life for yourself. This is all, and look, and the sad thing is this is legitimately all connected. You cannot sustain 33 million people. In this case, the last 4 years was 11.7 million people. It's unsustainable economically. It's unsustainable society-wise. You want to fix the housing problem in Colorado? Send them back to where they came from. Housing problem solved. That's fixed in about, 30, 40 days. It might take a little while to clean up the apartments and the houses, but still, that's the point. It relieves that obscene pressure that they've put on us, and it is us. It's every Colorado citizen. It's every American citizen, naturalized or by birth.
Well, you know what, Mark?
Yeah.
They need to quit handing out H-1B visas like candy, too.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, that crap's got to stop.
I don't have a problem with the H-1B, but I think that the vetting should be based on qualifications of what's already here.
Well, yeah, the vetting for sure.
Yeah.
But to allow 600,000 Chinese nationalists in so they can go to our colleges? No.
And I'm going to say this. That's President Trump that did that.
Right.
So, for those of you people who think that we constantly bending a knee to Donald Trump, I would tell you that we've been very critical of Donald Trump and some of the policies. I have personally been very critical of Operation Warp Speed because he listened to the wrong people. I believe he was pressured to listen to the wrong people.
Probably.
But the difference between then and now is he ain't letting anybody pressure him into anything. I don't know what his motivation is for bringing 600,000 Chinese nationalists. I just don't want them here.
No,
I don't believe that they are acting in our country's best interest.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, and for that reason alone, Trump is wrong on that.
Yep.
Oh my God. That means that now all of the blind morons that are Trump morons are going to go, you must hate Donald Trump. He demands loyalty. I have loyalty to one thing and one thing only, folks. That is the United States of America and our United States Constitution. I do not have loyalty towards any individual outside of Jesus Christ.
It's America first. That's it.
I want to talk about this because this is a society thing. I don't know if you know what happened at the Texas A&M South Carolina football game, but a Texas Department trooper shoulder checked a member of the South Carolina offense in the first half as he's coming down the tunnel. here's my problem with this. People are going to try to make it about race. I already heard one guy try to make it about race. I think that trooper needs to be there needs to be consequences. You don't make contact with a player unless that player is doing something that creates an unsafe environment. You just don't do that. But like I said, I've already seen it. A guy making it about race, making it about the fact that people of our color have always had to worry about people in authority, and here
Mark,
it is again.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Sure, yeah.
Can you tell me what color or what races these people were?
Let me see. The trooper in the picture, if I can find it again, was definitely white. He's a white dude.
Mm-hmm.
And the player who had just scored a touchdown and ran up into the tunnel to slow himself down. And when he came back down from the tunnel is when he got basically shoulder checked by this trooper. And I don't know what the trooper shouted at him. I don't know what went on right there. But I will tell you that he needs to be admonished. He probably should be fired. You don't make contact with a player. That's just not. You're in a realistic way. You're in a position of authority because you're supposed to be providing security for the teams. It's real hard for any player, whether they're white, black, or any color, to feel safe when a dude with a badge is shoulder blocking my teammate. So,
right.
That's kind of my, but don't make it about race. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what was said, and I don't know what wasn't said. But what I do know is there's this habit of turning it into something that it quite frankly couldn't have been. He could have been a Texas A&M fan. It was actually at College Station in Texas. He could have been just an overzealous Texas A&M fan with a badge, and he just thought he was doing something to support his team. You shouldn't have done that. That's but the fact that they're going to try to make it about race, I don't think it was about race. I don't know that the player repeated what the guy said. If the guy said anything that was racist, then he definitely needs to be gone. Because like we've always said, we don't care about things like that. We wish that stuff would simply just stop. And I know that it's real hard for it not to when society tends to lean into it with a quickness and with a lack of control. I think it's very frustrating. In all honesty, it is very frustrating. The picture shows him. He actually pointed at the player too. Had no business doing any of that. Go over to the side of the tunnel, you moron, because all you're doing right now is creating something that doesn't need to be created. Mom?
What?
What else do we got?
Oh, let's see. I read that a group sent a letter to the head of the Department of Interior to stop the introduction of more wolves, and they actually listened, and they are stopping, for at least for a short time, the introduction of more wolves into Colorado. Thank God.
Good.
Yeah, that came from Washington, right? Washington said they weren't giving up any more wolves. Isn't that what it was?
Well, for one thing, the wolves are obviously incompatible with what's going on. Too many of them are dying, and they haven't yet figured out why they're dying.
Well, probably because they're an environment that is not actually conducive to
considering their
livelihood.
Out of their element.
Hey, this is
the wolves.
But come on, the people who are environmentalists are saying, "Woohoo! This is great. We brought in these wolves."
Yeah, well,
I never liked that from day one.
Once again,
have already
it was
been here off and on
it
for
was
years.
once again it was people out there trying to make themselves feel better because they are trying to introduce animals that have not been in the state due to and honestly wrongfully accused farmers for killing off all of the wolves. And stop it. There, honestly, this wasn't a problem until these environmental morons came to the forefront.
That's true.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. And you know what? If the wolves manage to survive and they don't completely overrun, but they're already causing damage, if they manage to survive and figure out a way to exist on deer and elk and antelope, I'm okay with that. I don't really care. Just
you should care.
Don't
because
bring any more in. No, what I'm saying is don't bring any more in, because it's going to be a royal pain in the backside to oust to get the ones that are already. You can't track the ones that were born in the wild
because they're having babies. Lots of them.
Because they have babies. Because much like they do procreate. So you don't have that problem. And look, the reason I say I don't have a problem with it is because it's too late to have a problem with it. I had a problem with it. I did not agree with the introduction of the wolves, but if they're dying by their own volition, or if they're dying because they're incompatible with the environment with which they've been introduced, then they are going to take care of themselves. That's going to happen because that's what nature really does. It tends to weed it all out.
Here's the problem. When the wolves get done pushing the deer and the elk herds to the point of no return, then guess who else gets to go no return? Hunters. And that is part of the problem because
I'm not disagreeing.
The hunters too.
Well, yeah, they're trying to get rid of the hunters, and that's one of the other issues that is at hand with this next governor. This next governor, bad feeling that it's going to end up being that clown. The sad part is simply this. We're going to have to fight it at the Supreme Court level. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how that's going to transpire, but that's ultimately what's going to end up happening. Now, I don't know, and we're over a little bit, but we're going to close it out with this, and then we can bring it up again next week. My opinion on hunting and fishing licenses. They cost too much because our government doesn't know what to do with the money, and they don't know how to manage the money. If you are a Colorado citizen, you should be paying no less than $20, and I would say even less than that for a fishing license, maybe a little bit more for a hunting license. I think it's disgusting that that's what our state has done. I personally don't think that we should be paying for licenses in any capacity. We shouldn't be paying for marriage licenses. I don't think we should be paying for fishing licenses or hunting licenses. I just don't. It's just my opinion, and we can bring it up and talk about it more in depth at another time. But it is 12:04. Mom, I got to come and visit you and talk to you about what I kind of let you know and what I let Dennis know, so that we could potentially come up with some semblance of a game plan once we know what we know. And you obviously want me to do something, so I have to go and take care of some things for you, which I'm perfectly happy doing.
Well, keep me posted, brother.
Yeah, I will. And look, I might announce what is going on once I know more about what's going on with me.
Yeah, find out first, man.
But
jump to conclusions.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right there. I will say this: I have been fighting dry mouth for about 4 or 5 days, and I'm not currently experiencing that today, which is good. So, so that's a good thing. So,
right.
All right. God bless you all. God bless the United States of America.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Any one of you people who don't agree with us, I am openly inviting you to come onto our show and tell us why you don't agree with us. Because until then, you're just going to hear people that agree with each other and people who share the same viewpoint. Although I just showed we do not see eye to eye in other areas, and that's perfectly fine because we're not supposed to be freaking hive mind mentality. And I think we've done a really good job of preventing a hive mind mentality on this show. I really believe that we just happen to agree with each other. And look, that's fine. I'm not against agreeing on most of what we agree on. I challenge people to come on because I want to hear what they have to say. The person that I had the conversation with about our immigration and the due process crap, he's a good friend of mine. I do consider him a friend. I just think he's wrong. And if he ever wanted to come on, I would be happy to invite him on if he ever wanted to. But, like we've rapidly discovered, when they come on and we present them with facts, they tend to shy away because they don't want to deal with facts. They want to deal with feelings. They can't wrap their heads around what is and what you want it to be. And it's a sad state of affairs because that's where we're at. So, but that's where we're at. I will see you guys next week. Mom, I'll see you in about an hour.
Guys, have a great day.
You
Go
too.
Broncos.
Yep, go Broncos, I guess.
Justice Jackson, they captured Herman Goring alive.
Tell me about him.
He's the face of the Nazis. I'm going to put Goring on trial.
Never escapes the hangman's noose. Very sure of yourself.
No man has ever beaten me.
Goering has to fall.
You don't just have to win, you have to be flawless.
You're walking into a trap.
Knowing what we know now, would you still follow Adolf Hitler?
Nuremberg, rated PG-13, now playing only in theaters.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.